Welcome back to the channel. I've had a list of a friend of mine who's asked me the question of who is Tecteun. He's given me 10 people to look at and see if we can code out who exactly Tecteun is. Let's have a look. Yeah, that'll do it. I'll do it nicely. Ooh, jelly babies. We start off with number 10 on this list. Graham. Are you serious? You've got to be f***ing joking. Nah. Go to 9. Number 9 on this list is quite interesting with what he came up with. He came up with about a 5-minute discussion with me the other day of how it could be a Valiant version of Romana. But I can't see how that's going to happen. Because if I remember rightly, through spoilers for Big Finish, if you don't want to listen, skip to number 8. She ends up being president, doesn't she? Of Gallifrey in Big Finish. I suppose there could be some skull thuggery from the old Council of the Time Lords there, if it is that. But there is I haven't got to the Time War with the War Doctor, and I haven't got to the 8th Doctor latter series towards the Time War. I haven't got to that yet on Big Finish. I'm currently sailing through the 5th every night. It's really nice. So no, I don't think it's a Valiant version of Romana. Number 8 on this list is someone I had really high on my own personal list, and that's Barusa. You know, I don't think I've seen or heard anything from Barusa since the Engines of War book with the War Doctor. Spoilers for that if you haven't read it. It's probably the best Doctor Who book out there, The Engines of War. I truly, truly love that book. I've read it a few times. So that's your final warning for spoilers towards The Engines of War. Yeah, the last time we saw Barusa, he was a weaponized weapon for time, if I remember rightly. And the Doctor actually killed him to save him off, if I remember rightly. Or he sacrificed himself. It's one or the other. But I can honestly say, the more I think about it, I don't think it's Barusa. But it would be really cool to bring back probably one of my favourite classic characters in Barusa, to bring him back into the new series. I think Barusa has got something on the Doctor, because he was his teacher. He was his teacher when he was at Gallifrey. So yeah, it would really nice to see Barusa as the Timeless Child. That would be pretty cool. Because don't forget, he was also a former disgraced president of Gallifrey. So yeah, that would be really interesting to see. But do I think it's Barusa? No. Next on this list is the most obvious one, and it probably is going to get shoved down our throats that it's the Doctor. But I do still think it's going to get changed or manipulated in some way. It is going to get hidden because it was such a backlash with it. So, do I think it's going to be the Doctor? Maybe. It's number 7 on this list. It is very low. My friend has put it very low on the list. And so I would say I'm set. It's 55-45 for it being for not being the Doctor. So no, it's not going to be the Doctor. I think the only reason this is on this part of the list at number 6 is Morbius. I was sat downstairs watching The Brain of Morbius the other day, and the only reason it's on this list, I think, is because I mentioned it in a video the other day, and I think he's looking for a number 6. Morbius would be cool. He is a disgraced former president of Gallifrey. He was the president during the Dark Times, if I'm not mistaken. And he interacts with the 4th Doctor in the Brain of Morbius story. I really enjoyed his character. He was menacing, he was evil, even though he was, a Frankenstein at the time. I haven't got... I've heard middling rumours he's somewhere in Big Finish. I don't know where. I haven't got to that yet. Because I'm currently going through the 5th Doctor. He seems to be my favourite Doctor of Big Finish. So it would be interesting if it's Morbius. Because he can move his mind to different places. So that would be interesting. So Morbius is the time... It's Tecteun. That would be interesting. Next on this list is something I don't know who this is. It's on the list. I've been given little pointers, but I don't know who this is. And that's Cardinal Olistra. Is that the one? Cardinal Olistra. Apparently she's a big soulless Time Lord in the Time War that interacts with the War Doctor and the 8th Doctor. And apparently she's quite big in that whole story. So I don't know how this ended up on the list. But if I don't know about it, that means the mass majority of the Who base doesn't know who Olistra is. So I will probably go number 5, Cardinal Olistra, not Tecteun. Now, if you'd have spoke to me 3 months ago, 4 months ago, this person would have been top of the list of who Tecteun is, and that's the Master. Because there's been a lot of skullthuggery from the Time Lords when it comes to the Master. You think about it, they put the drums in his head, and he's been reincarnated so many times. Why couldn't they have tortured him and wiped his mind and drove him mad? And that is the birth of the Master. See, when you think of it like that, it sort of makes sense. But also, on the other hand, it's so far-fetched, and they've sort of got their way with the Master now. They've gone from funny and pure chaos with John Sim. They went pure crazy with Missy. And then they've sort of melded both with Sacha Dhawan into like the perfect package of what the latter stages of the Master is. Do I think it's Tecteun? No, I don't think he's Tecteun. I would say he's closer to the Timeless Child than he is being Tecteun. But there is something they're not telling us, and I think the Timeless Child, along with Tecteun, may get changes in the future, because something's got to give. Because it was how quick they came from in the Dalek special to how minimalistic it was spoken about in that special. So number 4, is Tecteun the Master? No, he isn't. This next one's going to be a little bit interesting. Is it Razalon? Now, the last time we saw Razalon, he got booted off Gallifrey by the 12th Doctor. And I think there is a revenge thing coming back for Razalon. It would be interesting to see 13's happy-go-lucky charm go up against a fearsome Razalon. Yeah, it would be really interesting. Do I think it's Razalon who's Tecteun? It could be. He's one of the founding fathers of Gallifrey. Him, Omega, and the other are all founding fathers of Gallifrey. But so is Tecteun, if it's to be believed with the Master's tale of the Timeless Child. So, number 3 on this list, I do believe? Yes, number 3 on this list. Razalon is a probable. Now, this next one comes into more legend and fact-based, because I think there's books on the 1st Doctor interacting with the 8th Doctor in the future. It's a book I haven't read, and obviously this character is called The Other. This is just pure legend on this part now, because The Other isn't really a story that makes much sense when looking into it. So when it comes to The Other, I've put it so high on the list because I wouldn't be surprised if Chibnall has seen a character who hasn't been fully fleshed out and then jumped on it, that's Tecteun because he's a founding father of Gallifrey. There were 3 founding fathers of Gallifrey. We see that in the legend that the Master puts up in the Doctor's mind in the Timeless Children finale of season 12. There are 3 people there. There's the Other, there's Razalon, and there's Omega. So is Tecteun the Other? Yes. If this was my list, I would probably go, yes, it's the Other. But my friend who has done this list has gone for one really interesting number 1. Number 1 is Omega. Now, this is quite interesting. Omega is somebody we haven't seen since the 5th Doctor, where he imploded in Amsterdam with the 5th Doctor, I do believe. With the whole story of Tegan's cousin and everything going missing, and him trying to copy the Doctor's body, or he tried to take the Doctor's body to try and live in our universe because he's made of antimatter due to the complicated situation of him being abandoned in an antimatter universe where he interacted with all first 3 Doctors of William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton and John Pertwee in the 3 Doctors special back in the early 70s. The Omega, that would be really, really interesting, because Omega brought the whole chance of time travel. I think it's the black hole technology that he worked on that brought Time Lords were available to work on time travel through that black hole. And then the legend had it that they had their regeneration abilities through overexposure to the time vortex, but no. Apparently, according to the Timeless Child in this new legend, apparently it's down to whoever the Timeless Child is they were experimented on by Tecteun. It's starting to go round in one circle now. So it's either going to be the Other or it's going to be Omega. But do I think it's going to be Omega? I think I sort of did this list because I'm starting to sort of lean towards it, because it could have been the Other, because there is a legend there to be told. But Omega's just too good to pass up. You know, to see that big silvery mask again would be quite cool. This era's defining moments of it, of, how they, we've got better, cameras and VFX these days. To see Omega become Tecteun would be really quite cool. Anyway, guys, that's my friends list of 10 people who could be possibly Tecteun. Now, I've noticed in my videos I've named it the Timeless Child. It's confusing to me now and again, but thank you for sticking with me. And if you like what I do on the channel, don't forget to subscribe and give me a like. There's also a link to the Other in a wiki TARDIS page underneath, so you can read up the legend of the Other. It's quite complicated. I couldn't go through it all this video. I think that's a whole video in itself, the Other. So have yourselves a lovely day and take care.